Hi friends, we're playing with metal tape today. This is what metal tape looks like, and you can get it at the hardware store or places like a home improvement center or something like that. I really don't know how much this was. My guy was using metal tape as he was working on a car, and I kind of snagged some from him to play with, and then I found it really intriguing and wanted some of my own. So the next time that he went to the home improvement store, he bought me a roll of metal tape. I don't think it's super expensive, and I've had this probably well over a year and a half. We're also, if you don't have metal tape, we're not going to get discouraged. We're going to use some aluminum foil to make our heavy metal hearts. I've already cut some heart shapes out of one of my favorite things, which is, repurposing an egg carton. Luckily, our local recycling is now taking all recyclables up through 7, which if you look on recyclable things, almost everything is between a 1 and a 7, but they are still not taking styrofoam. So I always try and kind of just repurpose my styrofoam. I cut the tops out of the egg cartons and use them for different things. The first thing that we're going to try is, like I said, we're going to use our aluminum foil, but this is kind of the thing that we're going for. These are some little elements that I made using this technique. I made these for Halloween, and then I made this to go on the front of a journal. That is going to go on the front of a journal. Here's a small star. It's fun. You take chipboard pieces and you adhere them to some cardboard, like this is a cereal box board, and then you push them down. Usually I just use an eraser on a pencil, and then you finish them off with some rubbing techniques, which I'm gonna show you how to do. So it's a lot of fun. I also used metal tape to cover a tea box, and I used this tea box for storage. Let's get started and see what we can get done. We're going to put some glue on here, and we're going to go ahead and start covering our styrofoam heart with some strips of aluminum foil. I'm using the dull side of the aluminum foil. So we're not going to use the shiny side, we're just going to use the dull side. We can wrap it around any way we want. Like that. What we're going for here is kind of a patchwork-ish kind of looking heart. So it's really going to be quite funky and quite cool. Uh-oh, forgot to put my glue down there. With metal tape, you don't have to use glue. But of course with aluminum foil, because there's no sticking medium on the foil, you got to use some glue. These are, because they're thin, they're super cool on cards. So if you're making a batch of cards, for Valentine's or whatever, they really are a sweet element to add to your cards. Okay, we've got a couple strips done. Pull off a little more. And I think with this one, I'm going to take it this way. Like I said, we're patchworking. We're not, we don't want to cover the whole thing, unless you just want to, and that's fine too. However you want to do it, it's just perfect. That is your own creativity coming out. Alright, I'll tuck these down. And nobody's going to see this side, so it doesn't matter so much about that. These would be great elements like on a layout, on a page in a scrapbook. Great for art journaling or anything really. Because they're so thin, they're so easy to work with. I've put these on mixed media pieces before. It turned out really nicely. Okay, just a couple more pieces up here. I'll be ready to add some metal-ish elements to this heart. I kind of want this like this. I like that. We're going to use a couple rubbing mediums. Is that right? We're going to use, I don't have any proper rubbing stuff, so we are going to use some dried up glue, and this is just dried up acrylic glue, so, dried up acrylic paint. So that's going to be super nice. Great use for your dried up paint, y'all. And we'll put this one here, and we will be done. Okay. Now, while this dries just a minute, let's give it a minute to dry. I think I need more glue over here. You do want to make sure that it's glued down as much as possible, because when we start rubbing it, you know, any kind of loose edges are going to come up. So just go around when you finish covering it and just give it another little look-see. Make sure we've got everything covered up. There we go. Now while that one's drying, let's go ahead and let's cover this one. And this is the metal tape, which is kind of a lot easier to work with because you've got a, you've got that sticky part on the back. So let's start this one like this. You know, guys, you could add like initials to this with some chipboard and do this kind of technique with it, and that would be really super cool too. I'll put a link to the tutorial where I covered my tea box, and the tutorial where I did my Halloween stuff, so you can see that technique. There is nothing to it, and it looks so good. Okay, here we go. I think I got off a little too much there. Another thing, you can tear this tape. It's just fun to tear. It is super sticky. It is kind of like a heavy-duty-ish tape. I'm not sure what this is used for. You know, what people who use it, like in construction, or I'm not sure what my guy was doing with it as far as the car was concerned. It's great stuff, though. Right, and we've just got one more little piece to go down here. I'm going to put this one at an angle. And there we go. Alright. Now our first heart that we made with aluminum foil should be ready to do a little bit of rubbing on. And the way we're going to do this is we're just going to take a cloth, and I've got some of my, my reusable rags, art rags that I made. And take a little, just put your rag close. Remember, your paint really does need to be kind of sticky and yucky, okay? So, I know that sounds odd. But the stickier it is, the better things are going to work out on it. Okay, you can already see where we're going with that. You can use red. I think black looks excellent on these little hearts. Alright, now let's give this just a minute to dry. You don't want it to dry too much, but while we're kind of letting that hang out and dry for a minute, let's go back to our metal tape heart, and let's just add some stuff in. We're going to add, these are super teeny tiny brads that I can't use them for anything because they're so tiny. So I'm going to push a couple of these through here. Now, I've never used brads like this before in this kind of project. So, you know, I'm hoping to mimic nail heads. Did you guys know that nail heads are an actual trend this season? I'm not much on trends, but I'm a member of the Canvas Core design team, and that is one of the things that is trending, is the appearance of nail heads. And when I see nail heads, it always like reminds me of, you know, those old benches, you know, that you see that have nail heads on them. I also think with this one, I am going to add a 1 and a 4 just to represent. I don't think I'm going to stick those in yet, though. I think I'm going to do that at the end. Let's go ahead and we're going to add a little more to this. I have one of these handy dandy little cutter bee bugs. My cousin made cards, and when she was finished making cards, she gave me this little handy dandy little thing, and you can tell that that makes the heart look like it has rivets in it, and that's kind of what I'm going for there. You know, it really is like a patchwork-ish kind of looking little heart. You can kind of see. I'm sorry, y'all. I've decreased the light on this video, so it's not quite so shiny. All right, let's go back to our aluminum foil heart, and let's just do some rubbing here. And you can see when we rub, we're going to take part of that paint off. Be quite gentle with your rubbing, y'all. You're going to get streaks. You're going to get, oh, see, we didn't get enough glue right there. There we go. It's all right. No problem. Even if it tears, you know, it kind of looks cool. This is a heavy metal heart. This is a heart that's been through a lot of wear and tear. So she shouldn't look perfect. She should have a really stylized look to her. Next thing we're going to do with this is our aluminum foil heart, is we're going to use a little bit of, again, you know, I don't have a rubbing medium, so I'm using dried up acrylic craft paint. And then we're going to give her a little bit more sheen and color here. Rubbing very easily, no big deal. This does have to dry for just a minute. Let's let it dry, and then we'll come back and rub some of that off. Let's go back to our metal tape heart here. Let's add. Oh, that worked pretty good, y'all. Those little tiny brads really did kind of set that piece off. Okay. I have to remember that in the future. Okay. Now, let's let that dry just a minute. Ooh, yucky. Yucky fun. Let's go back to our aluminum foil heart and give this one a little bit of a rub. There we go. Let's use that cutter bug to put some rivets in here and give it a little bit of depth and dimension. I just think this is awesome. It's really pretty. If you don't have something like this, use a pen. You know, a pen will do about the same thing here. So, you know, you can just put your pen in here and just make little nail holes, rivets, whatever right there. And because we did that, we're going to add a little bit more of our faux rubbing medium right there. Okay, now we're back to this little heart. Let's rub the black off. I really like the way those turned out. And let's add the add a little bit of bronze that's all dried up. I need some bronze paint. I like that these were green, so when I've done the original brads here were green, so when I did the black it kind of darkened them. When I'm going back with the bronze, it kind of makes them look kind of mossy and aged, you know, like they're deteriorating. Just awesome and cool. Okay, we're going to let that hang out just a minute. Go back to this one. And I'm kind of thinking that I would like to add maybe just a small star right here. I think that would kind of look cool. This is an example of one of those things I made, you know, when I was just playing around last year. And I made it with the chipboard, the tutorial that I'm going to show you, that I'm going to point you to. And we'll glue that down. I kind of like that. It's cool. Again, you could use a, you know, you could use, oh yeah, that's super neat. You could use an initial, you know, a chipboard initial, and do this technique, and it would look super neat too. Alright, let's give this one more rub. And I have a pair of wings over here. And I think I might use those. These might be too big, y'all. I'm not quite sure. But let's see what they look like. Yeah, I kind of like that just like it is. I kind of think it looks neat. Alright, you guys. There we go. Something super simple that you can do with things that you have around the house. Some heavy metal hearts for Valentine's. I think I forgot to mention that this is our art du jour for February the 6th. And I hope you guys had fun learning something new. Thanks a bunch. See you soon. Bye.